Everyone, welcome back to our show. Today, we're taking a look at how leave management is changing and why many organizations are rethinking the traditional models they have relied on for years. For a long time, most programs were designed around a single consistent process. Every leave followed the same thing, the same structure, workflow, and the same level of involvement. But as the modern workforce, as we know it, has grown much more complex. Employees work across different states, policies vary widely, and leave situations themselves can look very different from one employee to the next. So as a result, many organizations are still realizing that the one rigid approach doesn't always reflect how leave actually works. And that's where the idea of designed optionality comes in, building leave programs that allow for flexibility while still maintaining clarity, consistency, and compliance. So to help Emma and myself explore this idea, I'm joined by Courtney Untied, Director of Leave Success here at Tilt. Courtney and her team work directly with organizations and employees throughout the leave process every single day. So her perspective on this is quite perfect for this conversation. So Courtney, thanks for joining our conversation, and we're so glad you're here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Your team works closely with employees on leave. Every single day. From your perspective, how has the leave management space evolved over the past few years?
Yeah, as you alluded to, Nick, over the past few years, leave management has really evolved, right? Largely because the workforce itself has become more diverse and complex. We're seeing a lot more remote and distributed teams, employees working across multiple states, and a wider variety of leave types and regulations that organizations need to navigate. At the same time, the leave situations are rarely one size fits all. Not two leaves look exactly the same, whether it's parental leave, medical leave, caregiving leave. Each employee's circumstances, the timelines, the needs can be different. And because of that, HR teams are really looking for ways to strike the right balance, providing meaningful support and a positive experience for employees who are going through something that's important, like big life moments, right? While also maintaining processes that are clear, compliant, and manageable for the business. That's where thoughtful leave management and strong operational support becomes so important.
Absolutely. And I love that you touched on, Courtney, just the change in workforce. Like people might be fully remote, or maybe you have a hybrid team, or there's just a need for your workforce to have different types of leave opportunities. Whenever thinking about improving leave processes, what do you think companies typically want to accomplish for both HR and employees?
Typically, they're trying to accomplish two things that at the same time, they're wanting to support their employees while also giving HR teams the clarity and structure they need to manage leave effectively. From an HR perspective, the biggest need is to clarify and have confidence in the process. Leave laws, policies, timelines can be really complex and can become complex fairly quickly, especially with employees working across different states. HR teams want to know that the process is consistent. They want to know that they're compliant and that it's easy to navigate. And they also want to spend less time untangling the details and more time supporting their people. For employees, the experience is often happening during a really stressful time in their lives. It can be very emotional. Whether it's welcoming a new child or dealing with a medical issue, they're looking for guidance and reassurance. They're wanting to understand what their options are, what steps they need to take next, and they want to feel confident that their leave is being handled correctly. So really the goal is finding the right balance between operational efficiency and a supportive employee experience. When the process is clear and well managed, it doesn't only reduce the burden on HR, but it also helps the employee feel supported during some of the most important moments in their life.
And one of the things that you touched on, Courtney, was this process. Many leave processes were originally designed to follow one consistent workflow, start to finish, none of this one-size-fits-all thing. Why doesn't that approach always reflect the reality of leave today?
Leave scenarios can vary widely depending on the state someone's in, the specific policies an employer offers, the individual circumstances of the employee. Different states have different regulations. They have different requirements that interact with company policies in unique ways. On top of that, some leaves are fairly straightforward, right? If you live in Nebraska and you're a non-birthing parent, very simple. But you add in state benefits, you add in medical leave, you add in different policies that you might have to apply for, it can get complex very quickly. And so because of that, treating every leave situation exactly the same doesn't really reflect how leave works in practice today. Modern leave management needs enough structure to stay compliant and organized, but you also need that flexibility to adapt to different scenarios employees in HR encounter on a daily basis.
Not even to mention that taking advantage of those state benefits and other things might save your company money. So there's also that other added benefit, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, everything that you touched on is kind of where this idea of optionality comes in, right? So when we say optionality is the new standard in leave, what does that concept mean to you in practice?
I would say it's really acknowledging the different leave scenarios require different leave support. Some leaves are straightforward and they can move smoothly throughout a structured process, while others involve more complexity and require additional coordination or guidance. That's where a mix of automation and human support become important. Certain steps like documentation collection, eligibility checks, status updates can often be handled automatically, which helps streamline the process, but other moments benefit from human involvement, especially when an employee has a unique circumstance or needs reassurance during a stressful time. That optionality allows HR teams to maintain that flexibility without sacrificing visibility or control. They can adapt a level of support based on the situation while still ensuring the process remains clear, compliant, and well managed for both the organization and the employee.
Courtney, you touched on in your answer there this idea of human involvement, human support. From your experience leading leave success, where does human involvement make the biggest difference during a leave?
A key area is where you're helping the employee understand what to expect during their leave, right? Even with clear systems and processes, leave can feel overwhelming, and having someone walk through their timelines, walking through the documentation that's needed, walking through what comes next can help it feel more manageable. Human support also becomes especially important when a leave takes an unexpected turn, right? It's not always you figure out what you're going on leave and it's going to be simple, it's going to be straightforward. There are curveballs that can happen. Leaves could be extended. You may need additional paperwork. So if situations evolve, it's preferred to have someone that you can just go to. You can email them and be like, hey, Court, like what's next? What do I do? I'm confused. And having that point of contact can help really relieve that stress when you just know you can count on someone to be there, have your back, and help you through the process.
And that's like a big, to your team, just giving you all the credit in the world of being that person, not only to provide the answers and the accurate information, but the hand to hold. I'm sure there are a lot of situations in which you all are doing things outside of the line of duty, anyone managing a leave, really. So we touched on kind of the human elements of leave, and we know, you and your team are doing all this amazing work. But at the same time, where do you see systems and technology playing the most valuable role in supporting the leave process?
When it comes to tracking compliance requirements, I think, and the timelines that are involved, with different state programs, company policies, eligibility rules to consider, technology can help ensure that key dates, requirements, steps aren't missed. It reduces risk and it gives HR teams confidence that leaves are being managed accurately. Technology also helps organize documentation and communication. Leave often involves multiple pieces of paperwork, updates, touch points over time. And so having a centralized system keeps everything in one place so employees and HR teams can easily reference what's been submitted, what's pending, what's coming next. And also it just provides visibility for HR teams, right? HR is looking to kind of step away from having to manage the day-to-day of a leave. They're trusting that technology and the system that it's going to be letting them know and the employee know where they are in their leave, what's missing, what comes next, right? And so it allows them to spend their time in other manners, like where their expertise lies, like really building up the culture of their team, and being able to spend attention in other areas that's not just managing the leave.
So there's clearly this balance that we see here with the human support, the human involvement, and then also on the other side, the systems and the technology that helps enable that to really, accelerate that process. How does this balance that we see here ultimately change the experience for employees in this?
The employees receive clear information and guidance, right? They are using the system. It helps ensure that the right information is being shared at the right time. Things like the timelines and the documents and the next steps. So employees aren't left wondering like what they're supposed to do, where they go from here. It's all outlined for them. And as a result, the process tends to feel less confusing. Instead of navigating a complicated set of policies and requirements, employees experience a process that feels more organized and supported. And at the same time, human support ensures that employees know there's someone available if they need help, if their situation changes, or just if they're confused about the process. That combination, that clear structure from the system, the real empathetic support from people, that helps people feel both confident in the process and genuinely supported during a very important time in their life.
For sure. And what impact does this approach, really that great combination of technology and human support, what effect does that have on HR teams who are responsible for managing leave internally?
It gives HR greater confidence that the process is being handled consistently with clear systems in place to track timelines, requirements, documentation. Teams know that leaves are being managed in a structured and compliant way. It also reduces the amount of time spent on admin work and admin tasks. When systems help handle things like the tracking of the deadlines, HR teams don't have to rely on manual processes or spreadsheets to ensure things are getting completed or the constant follow-up that is needed. And as a result, HR gains back that time. They gain back capacity to focus on what truly matters most, right? It's not about pushing of the papers and making sure that the documents are getting completed and the boxes are getting checked. It's supporting their people. It's supporting employees and contributing to a positive culture within their company instead of, again, getting pulled into the operational details of every step. Allowing that to go elsewhere takes a big burden off of the HR team.
That's good. Courtney, I want to pivot to looking ahead. Let's take a look inside of this leave crystal ball here for a minute. Do you think optionality, in regards to this discussion, do you think optionality will become the expectation for how companies design their leave programs? And if so, why?
I do. I really do. And the reason being is the workforce expectations are changing. Employees today are used to experiences that are more flexible and responsive to their individual needs. And that expectation naturally extends to important moments like taking leave. At the same time, employees are looking for more personalized experiences. Leave is rarely a one-size-fits-all situation, and people want processes that acknowledge their specific circumstance while still providing clear guidance. Companies are also recognizing the value of combining strong systems with thoughtful human support. Technology can create this structure, the consistency, and the compliance organizations need, while the human involvement ensures employees feel understood and supported when their situation requires it. And because of all of that, having the options isn't really about adding complexity. It's about designing leave programs that are flexible enough to meet real world needs while still being manageable for HR teams, right? And as companies continue to prioritize both operational efficiency and employee experiences, that balance will likely become the new standard.